Hey guys, welcome. Welcome aboard if you're brand new, welcome back if you are not, and welcome home if that sits perfectly for you. Today we want to talk about what is up this week. This is the week of February the 19th through the 25th, 2024. We'll talk a little bit about astrology and energy with a little divination. Always getting those good intuitive messages, and we'll see what happens. Here we go. This Monday starts us with a Cancer moon, and we have two quincunxes to Venus and to Mars, both in Aquarius early in the morning. Then that Cancer moon is going to trine Saturn and sextile Jupiter. Also on Monday, Chiron conjuncts the North Node at 16 degrees of Aries. So on Monday, relying on your routines and your, let's call it psychic muscle memory, right? That's going to go a long way. So allow your sense of getting shit done to maintain your flow, because your heart and your soul are going to really have other work to do. That Chiron conjunction to the North Node is really making an imperative for you that you focus on your narrative, right? That story that you're telling about healthy, healed, and whole, right? This is your narrative. And this can be a perfect pivot point if you are willing to tell that new highest and best story, not only to yourself, but to the whole world. That Jupiter sextile in the late afternoon is a beautiful amplification for you. So just allow your heart and soul to do the work they're showing up to do while you are accomplishing the things you need to accomplish on Monday. On Tuesday the 20th, that Cancer moon is going to square Chiron and sextile Uranus. So as always, the universe does that thing where it asks you to do the work of creating your convictions, and then it says, "Are you sure? Did you really mean that? Are you positive? Is this what you meant?" Right? So that energy of challenging those convictions is strong on Tuesday. That's okay. Instead of collapsing into yourself, absolutely lean into your resounding, "Yes, I did mean that. Yes, that's what I meant." Right? And watch as the universe adapts to your certainty. Okay? On Wednesday, the 21st, that Cancer moon is going to quincunx Mercury in Taurus and trine Neptune in Pisces. Both very early, not even half an hour into the day. And then early in the morning, right about the time you're having some coffee, that moon is going to blaze her way into Leo. We're going to have oppositions to the moon, to Pluto, Venus, and Mars, and a quincunx to the Pisces sun. So paying attention, right? This is a day for polarity exploration, really at depth, right? So this is about who you are as a living, breathing representative of the cosmic allness, right? Of the wholeness that is the entire universe. So ask yourself questions like, how do I self-define, right? How do I self-divide? And the opportunity for that polarity awareness is really big, but the opportunity for polarity healing is even bigger. So pay attention, right? Pay attention to the divisions within yourself and how you can create union within them. On Thursday the 22nd, Venus in Aquarius meets her love Mars in Aquarius. And that Leo moon is going to quincunx Saturn, square Jupiter, trine Chiron, and square Uranus. So here's the deal. That conjunction of Venus and Mars happens overnight, right? This is a personal one this year, in addition to being cosmic, right? Because the moon and Pluto are both involved. They both give witness to that union of Venus and Mars. So this is really, it's an action of home as the action of self, right? Remembering that when we talk about home in relation to Venus, we are talking about your sense of home, what it tastes like, what it smells like, what it sounds like, what it feels like, right? All of those absolute experiences, and no one can create your awareness of home except for you. It's fully self-reflexive. So make sure that as you're doing those definitions, you're including the driver as your experience, right? So that sense of home as the action of self has really never felt so very profound as it does this year. So maintain your self-presence and your dignity, and really, really, really work on refusing any invitation to even dip your toe into anyone else's drama, right? Keep your head up because your crown requires it. On February the 23rd, Friday, Mercury moves into Pisces at just a little bit after midnight. And Mercury will stay in Pisces until the 9th of March. That Leo moon, that Leo moon is going to quincunx Neptune, and then in the evening, the moon is going to move into Virgo. The Virgo moon will quincunx Pluto and oppose Mercury, all right? So here's the thing. With Mercury in Pisces, we're really, really looking at that preference for telepathic communication. The bottom line is Mercury in Pisces just wants to be witnessed and understood, right? There is a deep level of yearning for grokkery, right? Somebody to just innately, completely, wholly and totally understand what you're expressing without your need for explanation or laborious extra communication, right? And that's cool, right? But here's the deal. You have to be willing to spill your heart's tea if that's what you want to do. You can't just expect it and not be willing to show up as your heart. And that Virgo moon is going to make the beginnings of this transit a little bit challenging. That's okay. Even though you might feel a little confused, and even though you might witness your feelings kind of at odds with, right, your function, the expression of your heart is super highlighted. So the key is don't back away, right? The consequences of avoidance or any kind of dissociation are really going to be super long-reaching, especially with the full moon coming up on Saturday, the 24th. At 6:30 a.m. Central Time, the Virgo moon opposes the Pisces sun, and we have our full moon at 5 degrees of Virgo. How exciting. The Virgo moon will then quincunx Mars, oppose Saturn, quincunx Venus, and trine Jupiter before Jupiter herself before Venus herself squares Jupiter in the evening. So the polarity of Pisces and Virgo can best be described as serve or suffer, right? So Pluto in Aquarius is what we're really moving into now, this big overarching shift in energy, right? So that Pluto energy is really highlighted as this Virgo full moon happens. The way that we choose our sense of purpose, right, always shapes our self-concept and our identity and our sense of value and worth. Now, though function is important, especially with a Virgo full moon, that why behind the function can't be ignored. You know, the fact of the matter is we have the sun, we have Saturn, we have Neptune all in Pisces as this Virgo full moon is happening. So this really is asking us to be in our feels, right? Because our heart is our jet fuel. It's always our mode of propulsion. And it will really be important as we move through this Pluto and Aquarius transit to really be transparent with our feelings, because there's that tendency for Aquarian detachment. We also have Venus and Mars squaring a Taurus Jupiter at this full moon. So really asking, what am I creating? And how will that feel as it expands, right? And not forgetting that Mercury and Saturn are both opposing the moon as this is happening. This is really a time to pay attention not only to our expression, but also what we're leaving out in the middle of the yard, right? With Saturn opposing that full moon, we don't want anything coming back at us because we left it out there. So just making sure that you're cleaning up behind yourself, not just in 3D, but also metaphysically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, right? So be as your own change, right? You really are everything. And as we have that strong sense of fantasy, remembering that your fantasy is just one interpretation. And if that's your interpretation, guess what? That's okay. On Sunday the 25th, that Virgo moon is going to quincunx Chiron, right? Coming back again. And then trine Uranus. So we are back to Chiron, this Virgo moon, right? Quincunxing Chiron says, this is a time for exactness, right? Would you like to check your wording? Would you like to check your vibe? Would you like to check your narrative? Well, okay, let's edit it, right? And let's also remember, most importantly, that this editing is a never-ending process. It's about never-ending shift and change, never-ending adjustment, never-ending alignment and realignment, right? Because we are beings who are in never-ending creation, and nothing is permanent. So again, if you can find the way to be as your own change, remembering that you're calling it in and you are everything, right? So there's nothing outside of your capacity to shift or change it unless you believe that's true. So why not believe the biggest, widest picture, right? Give yourself the most options, especially now. All right, let's get here into this business. So we've got the Six of Swords and the Queen of Wands on Monday. This is that day where we talked about Chiron conjuncting the North Node, right? So this is about transition and really leading, again, with your heart. So we talked about this as that day to really be focusing on the narrative that you're creating, moving away from any idea or belief or concept that isn't working for you, that isn't bringing you to this highest and best amplification of yourself. What is your story? Is it based on your passion, your heart, your soul? Are you really witnessing yourself in all of your glory? Because guess what? That's who the Queen of Wands is, right? She embodies her passion. She embodies her fire, her fierceness, her taking a bite out of lifeness. So in every way that your ideas are stopping you, keeping you held back, or creating a barrier, now is the time to transition out of that old narrative. It is imperative to recreate it from the concept forward, right? Because this is your ultimate goal, that expression, that free embodiment, that bigness, right? Absolutely. On Tuesday, we have the Queen of Pentacles and the Six of Pentacles. So look, we have two little pairs of queens and sixes. How lovely, right? So sixes are asking us, where are we in our cycle, right? Are you moving? Are you stationary? Where's your focus? What are you looking for? What are you moving from? And that queen says, you better know, right? You better know where you're moving, where your base is, and where you're headed. So the Queen of Pentacles, a little more grounded. The Six of Pentacles, really about reciprocity. How are you allowing things to move, right? We talked about this as that day of challenged convictions. Are you willing to be in your faith of giving and receiving and giving and receiving? Yes, this is what I'd like. Yes, I meant that. This is what I'd like. Yes, I meant that. And I'm willing to be part of the process, right? And then really watching as the universe creates for you based on your certainty, right? If you can crown yourself, by gosh, the universe is going to give you a vast array of crowns to wear. That's just a fact. So dive into your yes, I meant that, and see what happens. Look, we have another 6 and a king, okay? So, oh my goodness. Y'all, did you see that? I didn't see that until now, but we'll get there. Okay, wait. Swords, Pentacles, Cups, Wands. Holy crap, we have the entire 6 array up in here. Dang. Okay. Sorry, let's get back. I'm sorry. I was reveling in my amazement, but let's get moving. 6 of Wands, King of Pentacles. So this is victory, right? Victory in your quest. And this is about how you show up here. So we talked about this polarity expression as we have Venus and Mars coming together in Aquarius, right? We see this. We absolutely see this coming. And as we're going to witness this victory in our polarity, right? Really working on joining our that comfort of home and that extension of self, right? It's the way that we self-define. It's the way that we self-divide. And hopefully you're healing your self-divisions, because this polarity awareness is huge. In fact, it's a real opportunity for us this week. So the way that you want to create from your sense of, let's call it resourcedness, right? Knowing that you have everything within you, right? We're not healing the masculine and the feminine outside of you. We're not looking to heal it in anyone else. We're not looking to critique anyone else's expression of polarity. All we're looking to do is embody our own polarity that is both feminine and masculine. You can't be in one without the other, right? You just can't. So if you're not self-dividing, then you're allowing someone to self-divide for you. So witness that, right? See how that feels for you. And then on Thursday, when we have Venus and Mars coming together in Aquarius, we have the 6 of Cups and the Emperor. Home as the action of self, right? Home, the 6 of Cups is nostalgia. This is how we witness the deepest, most powerful, rawest nurturing. And here's the thing. If you didn't get that when you were a child, if you have doubts about how to nurture yourself or whether you're able to nurture yourself, what is your capacity? That's your work, right? Your work is to gather all of those pieces of yourself so that your home, your sense of home, right? That Venus sense of home can really become activated as the action of yourself. So really finding your self-presence, finding your dignity. And here the Emperor says, we're not doing the drama, right? Keep your head up. We talked about this as keep your head up, your crown requires it. Well, we have so much royalty up here. It's kind of wild and crazy. We have another. I did not notice those 4 6s up there. I absolutely love this, right? 6 is how we're moving. 6 is where we are on our timeline. So really conjuring from that highest, that best, that most healed, right? With this Chiron energy, really witnessing that strongly this week. So On Friday the 21st, or the 23rd, I'm so sorry, we have the Three of Pentacles, or the Three of Wands, wow, and the Lovers. So Three of Wands is about long-term planning. The Lovers is about how we're making our most divine choices. We witnessed Mercury moving into Pisces on this day, right? And the Moon moving into Virgo. Well, here's the deal. This is beautiful energy, right? We have this triple energy here in the Lovers, making those choices. We have the Three of Wands really witnessing what's coming in for us. And so we talked about this as really having to have that open heart, because that's what's going to call in your highest and best, not backing away, and absolutely not using avoidance or dissociation, right? Again, think about this. The consequences of making choices that are not in alignment really, really call things to us that we have to deal with later, right? And so if you're looking for that way to be the most met, the most recognized, and the most in reciprocity, right? That real I see you energy, then you have to make the highest choices. You have to make the hard choices. And so if you feel a little confusion, if you feel like your feelings are, again, at odds with your function, always default to your heart, right? And don't back away from that, because if you do, those consequences will be coming. And you might not love them, right? It might be easier just to be in your truth up front than have to circle back around and manage the avoidance, manage the dissociation, manage the distraction later. Yeah, so look, we have the Lovers again, and the Page of Cups. We have a lot of repetition this week, y'all. So this is the day of that Virgo full moon, okay? Again, we're talking about divine consequences. We're talking about choices that are made by the heart. So we're talking again about this serve or suffer, right? Virgo is about function. Pisces is about whether you choose to put yourself into service or whether it's too overwhelming for you and you choose dissociation. So as this polarity is activated, this Virgo Pisces polarity, right, in conjunction with Neptune and Saturn and the Sun, right, what we're looking for is the way that we're going to function and purpose, as it will shape our self-concept, as it will shape our identity and our sense of value and worth. Those are capital V and capital W, right? This is why that function is so important. And this is why the why is so critical. This is why the why has to be straight from your heart, or it's not going to work, right? In the long term, because 1 or 2 degrees off in your trajectory is always going to take you somewhere not where you're aiming. And if you know what's aligned and you're not hopping on that vibration, then you're going to end up somewhere that's not aligned, that doesn't feel right. So at this full moon, take this as that place of assessment, right? Especially with this Virgo energy. There's a beauty in the ability at this point in time to edit, to make those choices that are always going to be in alignment for your highest service, out of your realm of suffering, right? So we have the King of Pentacles and the Four of Swords at the end of this week on Sunday. So this is bringing us back to that Chiron energy. We talked about how the Virgo moon quincunxing Chiron and trining Uranus allows you to come back in for the edit. What have I learned, right? What have I learned since I had this beautiful epiphany up here about who I am and how I'm defining? What do I need to edit based on my woundings, right? This is a beautiful Chiron card. The Four of Swords always says, what have you learned from your pain? What has your pain taught you? How How have you reforged and repurposed your suffering to be part of your best and highest healed story, right? Change that wording, change that vibration, change your narrative. This is a never-ending process. You have plenty of resource. You're never going to run out, right? You can change the story as much as you want, and the universe is always going to create the resources you require every single time. Nothing is permanent, right? Nothing is permanent except the fact that you are in constant creation, right? So be your change. Be your change as many times as you need. Be your change. You're always going to have what's required, what's needed. Really? We're in transition? This is not news. This is not news to anybody who knows anything about this channel or me or my practice or anything, right? We're in transition. We are. You are in transition, and you are the most critical piece of this transition, because the way that you self-manage, the way you learn to self-manage, the way you widen your capacity and capability is the driver for the transition. Only you, only you, only you. You cannot say you need to change to anyone else. You can only say it to the mirror, right? That's where transition happens. Oh, look, vanishing mirror, ego sublimation. See, that's funny. Guys, it's a funny week this week. All right, let's read what the vanishing mirror has to tell us, please. Ego sublimation, letting go of self-centeredness, becoming a vessel of possibility. With all these sixes, absolutely, that is our message. Do you ever wonder, oh my goodness, guys, sometimes messaging freaks me out. Okay. Do you ever wonder if your self-definition has become too rigid, too fixed around what you've come to learn, so that you contract your life into zones of safe versus unsafe? This here is okay, but over there, well, that might be too risky, right? Judgment, fear, self-righteousness, and overconfidence are only some of the traits that keep you from evolving. We are all products of our conditioning, so remember that this is part of the human experience. You're not meant to remain static, seeking only what you expect. Even if it appears ambitious, it is still too narrow. You go nowhere when you hesitate to move out of your comfort zone. When you focus too much on yourself, this way you become a servant of ego. It edges God out, removing the magic of possibility. Imagine looking into a mirror and seeing only what you are now. If you can let your self-definition soften, moving beyond the veil to your potential, a magical emptiness exists where all things are possible. Look again. Who could you be? What would you see reflected if you allowed yourself to be other than how you define yourself now? Nothing less is required of you. In this moment, let go of who you think you are and allow a new you to emerge. You will recognize yourself as what you are, a partner in co-creation, in service to the divine. Doesn't it feel good? If that is not the summation of everything we just said, I don't know what is. Here's the deal. Be as your change. You are everything. You have every possibility. You are in transition, right? And the way that you put that crown on your head and walk it is entirely up to you. And the way that you choose to learn, right? And it's okay to be learning. It's okay to be learning, right? That's part of the transition. It's okay to say, ooh, I don't like the way that feels. Let me shift it. I don't like the way that sounds. Let me change it. I don't like the way I called that in. Let me shift it, right? But getting to the point where you say, this is too much. I'm going to back away from it because it's too hard. That locks you in to the mirror you have right now. And that mirror only lasts for the fraction of a second, and it leaves you staring back into it. looking at your own reflection, wondering where you are when you're all the way down the river, right? Merrily, 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 merrily. Stay in it, guys. Stay in it. This is building. You're building right now. What you're building is temporary. Only you are the permanent calling in of that space of your own divinity, right? Don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of the power of your crown. In fact, depend on it, okay? Be blessed. Take care. Happy full moon. Yeah, we might talk a little bit more about this one. It's a big one. So, take care and keep calling it in. Keep serving it up. Big blessings, guys. See you next time.